Welcome to Follower One Vision Cast. And the role today we're talking about the role of mentorship in building community. Thank you all for being here. I'm excited. I saw where Victor and Larry and Chris and Heather are on here. So thank you very much for joining. The role of mentorship in building community. I think one of the keys, and we're going to talk about two verses today that Chris had kind of helped isolate for me, is just the importance of both being a mentor and being mentored. It's so easy for us to be, especially for me. So I'll just say everything in the first person here for a moment. My problem is that I'm generally reasonably arrogant, and I think that I can find the answers or I know the answers, and I don't often ask for help. And that really does come from this idea that I'm going to figure out my own answers or find my own answers. I don't want to be a jerk. I just have this innate talent. And so I think sometimes we have to challenge ourselves and remind ourselves, not only should we be available to mentor others, but we should also be able to learn, willing to listen to other people and give them an opportunity to mentor us. And so this is a relational skill that's very important in any community. Now, one of the verses that we have pointed out today is 1 Timothy 2:2. I actually think that's 2 Timothy 2:2. The things which you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust these to faithful men who will be able to teach others also. It is 2 Timothy 2:2. And I just messed that up when I was making that overlay. You'll notice in this passage that Paul is challenging Timothy to share the things that he heard from Paul. And he heard those things in the presence of many witnesses. And then he's supposed to entrust these to faithful people who will be able to teach others also. So there's almost 4 generations. There are 4 generations built into this verse, where we're basically being challenged to pass along those things that we have learned. Depending upon where you are in this cycle, you may be challenged to listen. That's sometimes what my challenge is. I want to listen more. I want to learn from more people. I want to get to where I can learn from anyone. And that requires humility. And mentorship is this constant reminder that we're dependent upon others. God made us dependent upon each other. And it prompts us to be humble, to establish and start everything with humility. And to me, that's a key in this passage. And it brings to mind another passage. The other passage that Chris talked about is Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. And I'm using the New American Standard Bible. It's just because these are the way I've memorized these verses, and it's typically the translation that I use. But it's for each of us. It's not just for men. Both of these commands are not just for men. We sharpen one another, and we are passing things along to one another. I'm so fascinated at the beauty of God's creation, that he designed the entire thing so that it all works. It's totally dependent upon him, and yet we get to take part. And when we take part in what the Lord's doing, he uses what we do, and it matters forever. Our opportunities to speak up, or our opportunities to help someone else, our opportunity to be a blessing to someone else. When we step into that opportunity, we see it, we experience it forever. We learn that we have great the ability to be involved in the lives of people, and that our involvement matters. Something that we say God may use something that we say to make a difference in the life of someone else. I heard, so I listened to the sermon from Life Church this week, and Pastor J.P. Pokluda, if I'm pronouncing his name right, he was actually talking about how he ended up asking his barber, asking this lady who cut his hair, on a scale from 0 to 10, how certain are you that you would, if something happened to you today, how certain are you that you would go to heaven? And it turned out that she had just asked God earlier that day to bring someone to her to speak to her about what was going on and to help her understand more about him. And so he had this opportunity to help this lady who was cutting his hair get to know Jesus. We have these opportunities all over the place all the time. We don't even see them all. I'm clueless generally, and so I miss many of them. But I want to be better at paying attention to and stepping into the calling that God has on my life, which means that every person I interact with is someone that someone I may have an opportunity to make an eternal difference in their lives. And that's part of the reason why one of the things I say at the end of the podcast sometimes, what we do because we follow Jesus matters forever. Jesus says that, and whoever in the name of a disciple gives to one of these little ones even a cup of cold water to drink, truly I say to you, he shall never lose his reward. He will not lose his reward. We will be rewarded for things that we do. And one of those things is mentoring, be willing to invest in the life of another person, or also being willing to be invested in by someone else. And so today I want to challenge us. Where can we step up? Where can we increase our presence and attention to be a mentor and to invest in the life of someone else? There's a ministry, and a friend of ours, a man named John Scroggins, has a ministry called the Baton Exchange. They're always looking for people to help mentor younger Christians and people who are new in the marketplace who've just recently left college. It's the batonexchange.org. I'll make sure and get a link to that and put it in the show notes. And the executive director of that organization is a man named John Scroggins. And you can just tell him you heard about it here on Follower of One. But reach out to John, and John will match you up with students. They have students, people who have just recently graduated, and students who are looking for mentors to kind of help them take their faith into the marketplace. And so I think we can all help with that. Everybody, all we're doing is helping a person who's just a notch or two behind us on the ladder. We're all just helping other people live out their faith too, and join in God's work and watch him be glorified by the way that we live. So I'm just excited. I'm excited that God is using us. He's putting us to work in the lives of people. I see that we have several people on here today. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. I see Bonnie Mock has joined us as well. So I'm grateful to everyone who's joined. Let's be intentional. Let's start putting ourselves in a position where we can mentor others and we can help them. So Bonnie was talking about how she got an opportunity to share the Lord with a former boss she ran into. I think we have these relationships. God gives us these relationships, and he gives us opportunities. And Ephesians 2:10 says that those opportunities are prepared in advance, that God has been laying them out for us. And the opportunities are prepared in advance for us to walk in, for us to do them. And so let's walk in the opportunities that God has for us today. Today, look for a way to invest a little bit in someone else's life. Now, there's one other caution I want to give, though, about the role of mentorship and building community. And that caution is to always ask for permission. Ask for permission to be mentored, ask for permission to offer mentorship or advice. Unsolicited advice is always received as criticism. I first heard that from a Andy Andrews book. I don't remember the title. A character in that book stated that to someone else, and I have made a note of that because I'm famous for offering unsolicited advice. And as a result, I want to make sure that I learn to ask. And so I try to make sure that when I get into the space of offering advice that I ask for permission, because many people receive that as criticism. They receive that as me disagreeing with what they're currently doing and challenging them or criticizing them. So we don't want to do that. But I want to invest in the lives of other people. And so by asking permission, then I can step forward. I can say, hey, would you spend some time mentoring me in a particular area? That's the action item that I have for today, is there are several people that I need to ask to help me in a particular area. At the same time, if you feel like you want to help someone else, then say, hey, I have some availability. Would you be open to having coffee several times over the next 2 months? And let's just see if there's anything that I can offer that might help you with the problem that you're talking about. And, it's just being more intentional in helping people live out their faith. To me, I believe God has given us this opportunity. And so that's why mentorship is so important. And I'm grateful to Chris for helping me organize all of this so that I have something to say every week. I'm grateful to you for being involved in Follower of One. Follower of One is just an idea of connecting people who want to be more intentional about living out their faith. I joke about wanting to run the bar where all the busy Christians hang out. And I'm excited because we have 5 or 6 busy Christians on here today. Thank you, Bonnie and Larry and Victor and Chris and Heather, for joining us today and for helping me get unmuted. And let's move forward. Let's step into the calling that God has for us in the marketplace today. Ask God how you can use what He's given you in the lives of other people so that He is glorified. That's our whole point, is to bring Him glory. Thank you for being a marketplace minister. Thank you for remembering that what we do because we follow Jesus matters. And thank you for your support for this ministry and for living out your faith. When we do what Jesus asks us to do, then the rest of this is His problem. And so I'm grateful to be involved with all of you in living out our faith. Thanks so much to each one of you who are on here. And I'm just excited to see how God is working and how God is using us. Thank you for sharpening me, helping me to be sharper and to do better job of mobilizing believers. God has called us into a new world with our faith. And so we have an opportunity to glorify Him. Thanks so much to every one of you for joining today. I've had a blast, and I'm grateful to you for being part of this community. May the Lord bless us. I pray that He will continue also to use you in helping other people get more excited about living out their faith on a daily basis. Thanks very much.